So we back at it again. What's going on, people? What is going on? Another one. My DJ Khaled, I do say so myself. Let's get to it. So basically, pretty much, I like to talk about different things, um, preferably money and things of that nature, and the experience as well. What's always suiting me about the function of us learning how to be successful, of us talking about being successful, and us having keys in order to be successful. And I do say so myself. I might even go back in and put the 9 laws of self-government in the description of this video. But and for the most part, um, what are you being taught? What are you learning? You know, what are things that helping you along the way? On your journey, and you know, going through that path, there are some things that you're gonna have to uh, get a grasp on to keep maintaining life. What's going on, Laura? I actually got to go and set my notifications for you, because I know people be talking about your videos and I still haven't seen them pop up. So I'm gonna have to go back in there and reset the notifications, just turn it off and turn it back on. That's always typically the thing that helps it out. But since I got some people in here, uh, learning today about the the 3 L's. I'm sorry, the 3 L's. And to that extreme, a lot of people haven't been taught pretty much anything to a degree, the basics. So this is another principle that you can take with you and, apply it to your life, just like I talk about applying to finance and everything else. Uh, look, listen, and learn. So this goes to a lot of things about you paying attention when you was in class, you know, um, hearing what, the teacher or your parents or anybody was telling you, and learning what to do, you know, whether it be what is 1 plus 1. You hear it, you look at the answer on the board, you hear the teacher talk about it, and learn how to apply it, whether it be 2 fingers, whether it be mentally, and this the biggest thing that we going through when we hit it in life is the same concept of, pull my mic back just a little bit. But this is the same concept in life where we have our issues and we have to go mentally having an understanding of getting things done to us even being adults, you know, having a point of listening to the things that need to be listened to in order to, gain more money in our lives, do more things for ourselves. A lot of people, to the degree are just not to that point of elevating themselves. So it comes at a risk, you know. How many times we go through situations and you haven't learned your lesson? What happens? You keep doing it. Prime example, in finance, someone doesn't actually learn how to properly save money. They're constantly getting evicted out of their residence. They're defaulting on loans. They're losing cars because it's a good experience to have things. It's a bad experience to lose things, you know? And that goes into the things that I always talk about living above your means, you know, overspending. taking the necessary arrangements to, hey, let me go ahead and do this. Hey, let me go ahead and do that. You know, prime example being, let me put a little money aside just in case something happens. Financially wise, um, I'm okay, but I never know if something happens. Prime example, let's say you driving down the road, you get paid on Wednesday. Let's say you get paid on Thursday, and it's Wednesday. You know, um, you fool around. Excuse me. You fool around and get a nail in your tire or your tire bust, and it's two different options. You can drive your car to the nearest tire place, risk bending the rim, or you can get it towed. Towing a car costs way more money than actually, you know, trying to drive it yourself. But it's to the point of when you get there, you realize you don't have no money. You don't get paid till Friday, and the bare minimum money you have is just for tomorrow. And you typically eat out and stuff, so that's enough just to get you a tire. So what do you do? Queen in the building, what's going on? Yep, we on this hump day. And the crazy part about it is, like I always talk about is having that budget. And this the main thing I always, try to apply to this channel is basically just self knowledge. Things that you learn over time. You bumped your head, you shouldn't be making the same mistake. You know, and not trying to take a shot at women because this goes against men too. You have people like pretty much men and women to a degree have women have, let's say she has about 7 or 8 kids, and she has about 7 to 8 different men. It comes a point to where you should start understanding your relationships are not working out. And the same rule apply for the guy who has about 9 different baby mamas. It comes to a point that your judgment isn't good too. you know, and being able to, just picking in relationships. A lot of us have these problems because it stems back from us not learning how to properly deal with relationships, you know, and this goes into a lot of situations. You have bad choices in your relationship, you have bad choices with your money, you have bad choices, you know, just in overall in your judgment. It stems from everything. So when you pick up bad behaviors, it pretty much spread across life. And see, that's the thing. A lot of people get to the point where I was looking at a video where the guy said, well, I'm just gonna pay $800 for my oil change, my transmission fluid repair, and do some other things. He only had, oh, what was it? I think it was like less than $800. So to the degree he used his credit card, he put 400 on his credit card, 400 on his debit card, just to pay for the with some change, but basically just to pay for the maintenance to be done on his car. And this guy just came from $24,000 in credit card debt, and he's down to 13,000. And the only reason he got all the way down to there was because, his fiance was getting on him about being more mature with his finance because she want to get married to make what's going on. And it was like more or less he was having an issue with her not trusting him with finance, but it came down to the point where she say, the reason I don't trust you is because you haven't learned how to be financially responsible. And then that goes back into a point to where, are we blaming the mother and father for this situation? Because, overall, that's when you start having that talk like, hey, did mom and dad do what they were supposed to do? that this and that happened, you know. And a lot of times we have, misinformed information. So that hurts us a lot too. And Mills, what's going on? And it gets to a point to where if we getting bad information off the rip and not being informed, you know, that hurts pretty much all over, all around. You know, when it comes down to it, if I'm not properly educated, I can't learn anything. You know, then it gets to the point, country hustle was going on. It gets to a point where if I'm not properly educated on the things that I see and hear, I'm gonna make the wrong decision. That's why I say it goes back into you making the wrong decision in relationships, you're making the wrong decision in your finance, you're making the wrong decision overall in your choices in life. And it gets to a point to where a lot of people make bad decisions, and it's just pretty much off, hey, this is the way I was taught, you know. And then you garner your, information as you get older and learn how to make better and wise choices and decisions, you know. And prime example, I'm actually probably should bring this person on one day because I always talk about this person being good with their finance and, learning the keys. And it was crazy because when I was talking to the guy, he was telling me how his wife, did a lot of stuff in her life without, you know, no issue simply because she had a lot of guidance from, her parents. Uh-oh. In the way she handled her finance. And it comes to a point to where a lot of people, when it comes down to it, hey, these are the keys in which we should be learning now. I mean, as kids, we should be learning as kids. So to now, when we're this age, we're pretty much heavy with our finance. I was looking at a situation where a guy was saying, I think it was one of the interviews with Charleston White, and there was a guy they called the old man. The guy was talking about, a lot of people getting for reparation, not getting money, but getting land and getting other things, you know. And that's a key thing, key topic for a lot of. Yep, sorry about that. But that's a lot of things for, a lot of people to learn, pretty much if you get a inheritance or some type of money or land, what are you gonna do with it? Because that's the biggest mistake of people not learning how to properly educate themselves, not learning how to properly do things in life. That money's gonna go through your hands so quick, you might as well don't even get it because when it comes down to it, what's gonna help you in a situation to keep that money? You know, learning from the mistakes of other people. They have a show called The Curse of the Lottery, in which you see the results of people winning the lottery and not properly being educated or even learning on finance how to deal with their money. Most of those people become broke to the point of suicidal or any other lot of big things involved due to the fact not being properly educated on some of the things that they should be doing in life. And it gets to that point to where you know hey, I've learned this over time and I've did this over time. It's not the right thing. I shouldn't be doing this. But hey, who's teaching? You know? It comes a point, the bond between the mother and father, if it wasn't good, they didn't have a good relationship, they're not passing that, knowledge on to the kids. It comes a point to where if the family structure was broken down early in life, that child never learned the key fundamentals of having a relationship. So they bring it into the finance. They bring it into life to where they make bad decisions. Don't you know there's people who went to college and this comedian he said, and it was relatively funny until it hit home to a degree. What's going on, boss lady? And he was saying, how many people went to college? Are you that you went to college for? And it comes to a point to where a lot of people went to college for what? To become doctors, lawyers, physicians, medical, wedding planners, all this stuff, only to come out of school with a degree and then go into your field. Because why? It's so high in demand, you know, society has a cream of the crop to pick through. Or your degree that you thought you was getting into, it wasn't, to the point where it was easy for you to, jump into that or make that decision. I mean, prime example, looking at let's say me for instance. Um, when I was in elementary school, I've always told my teacher I like art. I was going to be an artist when I grew up. This was in elementary school. My art teacher from elementary told me it's best to getting something that deals with art, because artists, for them to actually, explode, they have to be either recognized or, to a degree, somewhat decent of an artist to pass and, be known. But other than that, you know, just a guy just painting and doing it regularly, it's kind of hard to break out like that. It takes years to master your craft, and it takes years to be noticed. So he said, well, do something in the field of art, and then you can gravitate to painting and doing all that stuff, which is going to give you a better outcome later on in life. And that's when I got into fashion. You know, I like drawing. I like, to a degree, wanting so many clothes. So that was the thing. Bunny Rose was going on. Ultimately, get ready to go to college and everything for it. But to a degree, I ended up, going into trucking because I looked at trucking as being a good outcome for me. Oh, I forgot they got E85 over there. Shoot. Um, Yep, but getting into trucking because that was the thing. Financially, I looked at the money that truckers make, and it's an abundance. I can drive and, still retain knowledge by going to school, still retain knowledge by taking courses and educating myself. But at the same time, I already be in the field in which I start making money off the rip. And depending on how much money I make, is the job I want, and pretty much the type of drive that I have for myself to make this money. You know, there's some situations where I've made over $80,000 driving trucks, and then there's situations to where I've only made less than what 34,000 driving trucks. So pretty much it depends on the standing on which, hey, you got for yourself and what you looking for with a job. And like I said, just learning the process. That's the biggest thing about a lot of people, is just learning the process and sticking to it. With your finances, I always harp on the finances because this is the biggest thing. You know, you need money. People always, oh, the money is the root of all evil, this and that, but you need money to survive in this world now. You know, and society has made it that way, in which, if you don't properly structure yourself to have money, to survive, you're structuring yourself to not benefiting or making it, harder for yourself to live in society. A lot of times we have these, situations to where, hey, when it comes down to it, what are we actually really doing for ourselves? What are we actually doing for life? Because no one has taught us anything. You know, it's good to go by, hearing these notions of people saying treating yourself, buying the Louis Vuitton and buying the, best of the best far as cars or something to that extent. When it comes down to it, you can buy these things, but everything that you buy or deal with comes at a cost, you know. And with having these situations where you buy things coming at a cost, you know, mm, 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 you have to understand like what's going on, and buying things and all that, like I say, pretty much to a point of coming at a cost. You're looking at your overall standard. Hey, can I afford these things? It's the biggest, misunderstanding with a lot of people. They can't afford, pretty much a lot of things that they buy or, pretty much try to deal with. The thing is, buying, Gucci, buying Louis Vuitton, everybody pretty much can afford anything from the Gucci to the Louis, all this stuff, but at what degree? Because let's be understood. I mean, let's have an understanding. Long as you save the money, you can buy this reasonable. Same thing with buying a Mercedes. I seen this guy. He pretty much worked a regular job. He ended up buying a Lamborghini. $1,500 a month for the Lamborghini. The insurance was almost like 800, $800 or something like that, and that was monthly. And I was like, man, just to drive in this luxury car, I'm like, is it worth it? But it was to a degree that, hey, this was something that he wanted. This was something that he saved his money for. And, this is the key thing that he pretty much wanted and had it done. What's going on, Doug? And that was the point. He sat there, did the books on it, seeing that it was feasible for him to buy this, and he's good on the outcome. A lot of people don't have that choice to say, man, I can buy this with no problem because they're not saving. They haven't learned over time that, hey, if I want something, I should be able to buy it. For one, I save my money. Yeah, a lot of times, that's the thing. People try to use credit cards as a mean, but this is the thing. Queen has said that earlier. She only uses her credit card mainly for emergencies. And that's the thing. Using your credit card for emergencies and having the money to pay it back, that's one thing. Being responsible with your money, like I said, bad habits die hard. When it come down to it, there's a lot of situations to where a lot of people use credit cards simply because, hey, it's easy and accessible right now. NC worker, what's going on? And hey, I can use a credit card, run this credit card up, and pay it back little over time. You know, people don't know the structure of, hey, if I'm paying this card off, I'm getting this done, I'm getting that done. They know is I'm in an emergency, I'm in a pinch, I need to spend this money as fast as possible. But then what's the outcome? Overall, what are you gonna be facing? Bad decision or being irresponsible. And, pretty much that's the thing where it comes to a lot of us, like I say, it's self-taught. Like, hey, no, whoever actually set you down and told you about finance, who has actually really took the necessary precautions to say, hey, this is what you do with your money. This is what you not do with your money. Nobody has that point in which a lot of parents are doing that. A lot of parents are just sitting there telling you, hey, um, prime example, one of my friends I always talk about, and the thing he said about his parents told him about finance and as far as credit cards and stuff, just don't get one. That was her that was her overall end lesson to learning about credit cards and finance. Just don't get one. As far as when he was dealing with his wife was telling him, oh yeah, I was on my parents' credit card at age 16. I was establishing credit at 16 years old. By the time I turned 19 and stuff and going to college and everything, I already had like $10,000 credit cards because I established credit so young at a young age. And there were things that I was buying on the card and paying it off because I didn't have to pay any bills at home compared to somebody that, didn't learn about finance, had to pay bills at home, and they were just looking at life being so hard. Prime example, me and Alonzo had a talk and we went through this um what was it, a Instagram post. And in this Instagram post, it showed how Bill Gates got his money from his parents. Um Warren Buffett, I believe his dad was in finance, gave him the loan. Showed how Donald Trump dad, you know, gave him a small loan of $1 million to start his empire. Showed how what's the other big wig? Steve Jobs, you know, how his parents and stuff invested in him. Elon having the knowledge and know how. Not to mention his parents had money and got him in the best of schools and things. How he became successful. And when we went back and looked at it, it was all stemming from the family structure in which, hey, dad has money, dad has knowledge, dad teaches it to his kid. His kid wants to do something good for himself. Dad is all for it. And dad says, well, I'm going to take this to the next level. I'm going to make sure my son is highly educated. I'm going to make sure my child knows this and knows that. Yeah. A lot of people confuse, this is the thing that we always have these discussions online talking about, and we confuse a lot of times with the wealth of having money to a point of, being able to do certain things or appeal to certain natures. And it's crazy because we have these talks all the time and we really don't, fully understand what's going on to a degree. Hey, a lot of times that health is your wealth is a reflection on, the way you eat. Wealthy people tend to, kind of be a little ahead of the curve when it comes to certain things with money. Now you have people that have money and just go splurge out, eat chili dogs and go crazy. It's because, hey, the form of new money. Prime example. I don't think too many people. There's a couple of people who are millennials and they might have remembered this guy. He was from up north. A guy by the name of Young Bird, and Young Bird did an interview on the R&B channel with Tank, and I believe it was Case, but mainly it was Tank that was on there. I remember him interviewing the guy, and Young Bird said he never ate a hamburger, never ate a, never ate a hot. I mean, I'm sorry, he ate a hamburger, but it was never from a McDonald's. But he has never to this day ate a hot dog. He said when he was a kid, yeah, and the crazy part about Bird was he sit up there, he was like, "Man, I've never did this stuff because it was never like in my life." This guy had a chef growing up. He's a rapper, and he said that he had he never had a chef. I mean, even to the point where he was lying or not, it was funny, but to the point, this guy said his parents was rich, and he never did all that stuff, and it was crazy to the point, just the notion of you know if I had the ability to, have a caterer or have a chef come to my house all the time, would that enhance my health? Because there's a lot of people who have chefs, and a lot of people have, other pretty much cooks and things come to their house and cater, different events for them. They pretty much have a lot of, you know, things to a point of living a long life of good health. And it comes down to it of you having knowledge and you taking care of your family properly and doing the same. And that's the point where I sit there and where I have the discussion with most people, just talking to them about money and wealth, and like, hey man, the point of it is why a lot of people generally just don't have money, because a lot of people generally don't know how to keep money, how to obtain money, how to do certain things with money. So it's to a degree that most people are gonna always remain broke. Most people are gonna always remain in the same mindset because instead of learning how to, enhance their wealth, they rather do other things. And it's to a point where it's never too late in life for things to happen. But it gets to a point to where, it kind of gets played down or dummy down to this effect to where you could have done a lot better with your life if you would have took this route versus taking that route, you know. And it comes down to, hey, if I learned this stuff at a young age, like I would always tell my wife, like I would be so far ahead of a curve. My dad passed early, but my dad was doing these things. My dad, ultimately had a trust for us. My dad had a situation to where when he passed, we was getting benefits from the military. And that was another big thing about me getting life insurance as well, because like I had told my wife, I said my dad, he pretty much structured a lot of things in life that was so smart. And I was like, I want to be able to do that for my family. You know, that's why the point of me getting the three different life insurance and then also, applying and getting more life insurance, um, due to the ramifications if anything were to happen. I've learned about this stuff now. So it's time for me to go ahead and apply it. And, what they say, you spend a little money now, a little be more happy later, because this is the number one key thing. Anything you buy now, it goes up in value over time. You know, um, certain things it beats out, inflation, and certain things don't. When it comes down to having these policies, shout out to Alonzo, he pretty much had almost got me to a point where I had to sit there and think about the policies that I have. Did I have enough to actually sustain if anything were to happen to me? Yeah, I got to go back and look at that interview with him too. But that's the thing. Just having a point of sustaining. Like me and Alonzo sat down and we talked about a couple of things. There were some things that I'm like, man, I don't have enough money saved for my wife and kids. If I were to die now, they wouldn't have enough money. And that's the whole point of keeping up with inflation. You know, people who were getting life insurance and those pensions back in the day, it was cool to, get a term life and pay $10 and $15 um a month. And then if you live so long till you hit that 30-year mark, you don't die. It's a term. Like, what is the outcome? And a lot of times people have this notion of, hey man, buy term and invest the rest. First of all, you got to know how to invest to do that with your money. You know, so a lot of times you hear about people saying buy term and invest the rest. So when you buying the term, what type of term policy you buying? Are you buying a 30-year? You buying a 10-year? You buying a 20-year? And invest the rest in what? Most people typically getting terms at the lowest premium possible. They're not getting $100 term. They're not getting a, 200 and a $50 term. Most of the people on average are getting $10 and $20 term policies, and they try to get those that have the not even the big payouts to the point of getting those term policies that are, I would say, paying 500,000. The ones that are paying a million, they're getting the term policies that are paying $50,000. They getting the term policies that are paying, let's say, 75 to $100,000. If anything was to happen, then what? The same 50,000 that somebody purchased the policy in the 80s is not the same 50,000 that somebody actually used in this day and time. Like 50,000 now, man, that's nothing compared to 50,000 back in the 80s. You know what you could do with that 50,000 back in the 80s? A whole lot. What's going on, Bron? And a lot of people, we sit there and we talk about buying insurance and this and that. Like I say, we're not looking at the point of keeping up with inflation. Keeping up with inflation, some people can't even afford, you know, that $20,000 policy that the aunt bought is enough to bury them. Seeing the cost at funerals now are ranging anywhere from 15 to 20,000. You know, yeah, and that's the thing too. When you outlive your policy, you only get the cash value, and you thinking, man, I've been paying on this policy for 30 years. Man, I'm gonna get some money. I'm gonna get some money, man. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Doing simple, just this simple math. Let's say you do $10 a month for a year. That's 120, and then you take that 120 and let's do simply multiply by 12, 144, and you add a zero on the back end of that. That's only $1,440, and you paid in it for 12 years. Double that, that's $2,880. So that's going into almost 25 years. Literally, do you see the math? Like a lot of people will buy a policy, put in $10 a month, and be like, man, this policy say if it'll pay out $75,000. So at the end, they like, man, if I outlive the policy, I'm gonna get $75,000. No, a lot of those policies are not structured that way because you got to understand if you structure a policy, a term life policy for 30 years, and you divide that by the cash, I mean, well, let's say the cash value that you want to have at the end of them 30 years, you will be paying a high premium every month. And then if that's the case, you might as well get a whole life or get a IUL, in which most people, Fishy J Mead, what's going on with you? And a lot of times, like I say, it's crazy because a lot of people not knowing the math on this. You get that term policy, It's at the bare minimum, bare bones. When you get the cash value, it's literally nothing. I think they had a Gerber plan one day for this guy, and the parents was paying like, I think almost one of those dollar a month plans. And this guy just assumed he was gonna be rich when he cashed in that policy. Guy probably got $200 and some dollars, if anything. And he was mad at his parents, like, why y'all didn't put more money? They was like, well, if you died, it was gonna be $50,000. But since you didn't die, hey, it's only $200 that we put into it. Wow. But overall, like I said, knowing and pretty much doing the thing, hey, you have to be taught this stuff. You have to learn this stuff. It's not for the faint, and it's getting to a point to where having an understanding, knowing what buying, knowing your policies, reaching out to a licensed professional, because I could just talk about this stuff and tell you this stuff online all day, but actually, having a know-it-all and having someone that actually know what they're doing and they're properly teaching you this stuff, that's the key, you know. And a lot of times we do have it to where a lot of people, to a degree, really, really, really just don't, have the necessary money or situations to follow up. So that's one thing. But another thing for you to do is to also, you know, be informed. Talk to someone. You know, dealing with Alonzo got me a lot of, situations to a point to where, hey, I'm good. I could do better. But hey, learning the financial understanding of what I'm gonna do with my money and how much more money I need and what do I need to do to sustain for my family. That's the key, and that's what I said. Going back into the title, look, listen, learn. A lot of times it gets to a point where we're looking at situations in our family, listening to the problems and issues that people are having in finance, and we haven't learned to be responsible about doing things for ourselves. You know, if my parents struggled and my grandparents struggled, so could we call that a generational curse? Or is just the point of us not even having the knowledge and not wanting to succeed and do better? Because I mean, let's have an understanding. Let's get it all on the table. There are some parents that don't want to see their kids succeed. There are some parents that don't want to see their kids succeed because, hey, it's a slap in the face. How you get to be wealthy and successful, and I had you, and it becomes a push and shove game, and it's to the point that hey, that trauma that you had as a kid, you know, you got to go get help for it. You got to balance out your life. You got to go and get in the rooms to learn these things. You know, talking with people, dealing with emotional issues and things that you have. Like I said, get it all on the table, in which you get help for it. Turn around and do something with your life. Hey, same thing. Like I said, when my great grandmother sent me down talk about having life insurance not being a burden to nobody. How many people even had that discussion with a family member? You know, I was just looking at this guy yesterday, in which Alonzo been beating me with this, and other people. I gotta go get me a trust. It's good to get a will, but a will goes through probate. You get a trust, pretty much you're good. You know, um, getting to a point where I have to get some, things in finance situated. So it's better for me to get a trust. It's better for me to get a trust because getting big major purchases and things and a lot of stuff I have, my wife, no problem. She gets all this other things, but There's some financial decisions I want done, and I want it done right the way I want it done. So, that's how the trust pretty much eliminates that. Even with a will, somebody can come contest the will. Then it goes through probate. I talked about this the other day. Don't y'all know it's 2024? I think Nate Dogg died in '09 or something like that. They just finished his estate. They literally just finished his estate. Don't you know how much money that his family gave to probate, fighting over who gets what money? That could have easily been done behind the scenes. Like, look, man, we spending uh, uh pretty much not even just say knowledgeable, but a family member that has some type of just knowledge. They could have easily said, man, we're spending sums of almost millions of dollars giving it to the court to give them to make a decision on how much money each one of us should get. So we're going to give them money and take less money. How does that even work? Like, even as a family member, there should have been somebody who had enough maturity and knowledge and say, man, let's take this to a lawyer and let the lawyer split the money. We pay the lawyer just a one flat rate. And no matter what goes on, that lawyer has a one flat rate for us to get paid. Not for us to sit here and argue and fight through this and, you know, going into a degree of almost 16 years and, now this happened. Yeah, cause yeah, we man. All right, Queena. Yeah, I mean, even in that situation, a lot of people get hurt in the matter of, far as dealing with the parents not being on the same level or not wanting to see their kids succeed. Because, like I said, it's horror stories I've witnessed, heard, went through with people. This lady, she told her daughter was in medical school, graduated, on her way to become a doctor, going to get her master's. And the mom was telling her to go after this guy that, pretty much within the dad range, wasn't even on on a level that she shouldn't even been looking, you know. And that's the biggest thing where a lot of times we have these issues with people and nobody never taught us to do better. So we only deal with what we know or what our friends do. And I've always said this a lot of times that when you get to a certain degree, there are friends raising these kids. They go to school, they there with them just like they with the parents, about 8 some hours a day, 7, 8 hours a day. So they're constantly wanting to fit in. They're constantly learning things that other kids do and want to implement and do it themselves. Like I said, if the friend is always messing with these thug boys, that's what the girls are gonna follow. The boys, if they're around their friends and their friends is messing with all the girls with the looks and aesthetics, of course that's what they're gonna do as well. Now, learning from your parents to deal with, you know, boys that show you respect, that goes out the window because you gotta fit in. Same rule applies to the boys with dealing with I mean, dealing with the ladies too. Dealing with somebody that looks good and has some substance, And there was a lot of things that I learned when I was young. Like this one older lady, she told me, she was like, "You a good young boy," because I was a teenager. She was like, "You gonna be a good husband." She said, but the thing is, and it was funny, I always remember this. Even when I married my wife, I told my wife that and she started laughing. She was like, make sure you marry a woman not just for her looks, but to a point that you don't have to gnaw your arm off in the morning to get out of the bed to get away from her. And I died laughing at that. But it was to a degree and to a point in which, you know, she was saying marrying for looks can only get you so far, you know, get you in a situation that might even put you in deeper or more trouble. So a lot of times people do marry for looks and overall they get, bad outcome. And that always be the thing when you going into relationships and going into issues and things, being a part of situations, hey, there's consequences behind your actions. And that's the thing. A lot of people, go through situations that have consequences. Hey, nobody's never taught them this. Nobody, they're not learning this stuff. So in actuality, it's hurting them over time. You know, have a lot of fault, a lot of issues with things, and it's mainly centered around what? Not having the knowledge. That's what the point where I always talking about, speaking about the knowledge of, man, if I had the situation where I was learning how to budget at a young age, I blew through so much money partying and kicking it and things of that nature. Like it was easy for me to go to the club, buy a bottle. Hey, I thought that was the thing to do. It was cool. Then when I got older, I was like, man, I'm literally spending a lot of money, you know, and talking to a lot of older men that had things, they told me, they said, man, you know, let me break this down. You going in the club buying a bottle, this how much the bottle costs, this how much you pay to get in the club. This is if you bought a woman a drink. He was like, now take that money and cut that in one third, buy those bottles outside the club, go to a house and chill. And he was like, if you literally, what's going on, April Charles? If you literally want to ball and show a woman your balling status, he's like, own your own place, buy you a house. And at the time, that wasn't, a notion or a thing that I wanted. So I'm like, whatever. Yeah, yeah. I used to be over there at Sharon Showcase. Man, those were the days. Sharon Showcase. Yep. And it was crazy. Like when I was younger, what was the club? 559. It burnt down. I used to go by 559 all the time when I was young. My granddad owned his own business, um, doing burglar bars. So he would always get caught in that traffic when we do jobs over there at the West End. He's like, man, that club got these people over here going crazy. Yeah. Yeah, man, it's a lot of places that, you know, everybody was having fun being in the moment because, hey, that's how we learn things. We did what everybody else did. That's what I say. And it came down to it. You have other people helping you raise your child because they would ultimately go hang out with the friends. The friends would do crazy things. And what was the next best thing? You did what the friends did. You hung out with them. You did certain things. That, hey, it was a part of life. We kind of, hey, went along to the narrative. If they out there hanging, we gonna all hang together. If they out there doing this, we'll all do this together. And it came with a cost. It came in situations. Savage. What's going on with you? And that's the point. Like learning about money, man, we was having fun, balling out of control. You know, I had friends that they didn't need a job. Their parents would, give them money and take care of them. These were guys that were grown, 18, so getting into the age of being grown, and they didn't literally have jobs. They'll lose a job. Parents didn't worry about it. Uh, um, stay home, find you another job. They'll get on about the jobs, but every time they be like, "Can I have some money?" Yes, they were enabling those guys. They were crippling those guys. Me, I went and had a job. steady job straight out of high school, and it was crazy because I would spend so much money and do so much stuff. One of my friends' mom thought I sold drugs, and she was like, "Do he sell drugs?" I'm like, "Nah, why you say that?" She's like, "Cause every time I turn around, he's dressing nice and he doing this and doing that." Like, "Nah, he just got a good job." Like, that's why you don't never really see him but on the weekend. She's like, "Oh, okay. I ain't know." And like I said, literally had a good job straight out of high school. And a lot of people they assume that of me because the way I looked, the way I dressed, carried myself. It was always to the point that I was always stressed because I'm like I really didn't have no bills. Like I stayed at my grandma's house, and I didn't have no plans on getting my own home because I was young and my thing was still partying and having fun. You know, I started uh, getting out of that life pretty much relatively quick because I got burnt out. I was doing it young, and that was the thing. When you have the people that are in your life talking to you and telling you that, hey, change up and do this and that, it tends to take effect and notice. But to the point where nobody's really professionally telling you how to do this stuff, you just tend to follow the herd. Yeah. And like I said, it just going back into the title, you know, uh a lot of people they just seen so many things. They were looking at so many things and just hearing so many things within the family, but they never learned the lesson to do better for themselves. You know, if your parents wasn't well off and your parents wasn't, why you didn't step up and start doing better for yourself? You know, if you had family members that could do better at this and that, but once again, why you didn't start doing better for yourself? It always goes down to the point when the road meets the pavement. A lot of people didn't take the initiative to learn things to better their life until it was too late or they got older. You know, like I said, the one lady, she taught her husband so much financial education within a couple of months of being with her that he ended up actually going to get a credit card. He's like I said, the guy basically said, Dad never told him about credit cards because mom and dad wasn't together. Dad never really told him about finance. His mom, the only thing his mom told him about credit is don't get it. It ruin your life. That was the worst information to give him. And once he learned that, hey, if I have credit, the thing about having credit is knowing how to properly use it. And the point of it, you know, being he wasn't properly educated on it. And then to the point of him getting properly educated on credit, he had a better understanding. And that's the point that I'm saying with most people, you know, until you get the knowledge, you're gonna do like the herd. When everybody else, like the old saying, when people go jump off a bridge, you're literally going to jump off a bridge with them because hey, that's how you were taught. That's all you know. It takes it to a point of you actually learning, getting the resources and everything down pat, in which hey, you don't get caught in a lot of this bull crap because hey, not getting it twisted. When it come down to it, a lot of times people are not taught, how to properly save their money. So that's why they're always spending and credit card debt. People are not taught how to, save or plan for a rainy day. So if emergency happens, like your tire goes flat, you don't have no money to get it done. You know, uh, sit there eating at work every day and you don't have no food in your refrigerator. And you're 2 days from, pretty much, I mean, you're in a situation to where within 2 days you're not gonna even have enough money to actually eat out at work because you're overspending. At lunch, you go get lobster, you go get steak, Why not just get a small chicken sandwich or a salad or something? Something that's inexpensive. A lot of people tend to don't have a budget, you know? That's the thing. You see it, you buy it. Until that car gets to climb, like, oh, I don't know what happened. I thought I had money. Let me go to the car and grab it. You jump in the car and drive off. You ain't got no more money. Check a bank account. You overdraft. And it comes down to that point in which it's crazy because a lot of people, like I said, are not taught this budget. They're just sitting there spending money. What's going on, Big Rooster? A lot of people overspend it. A lot of people don't have a budget. And it gets to a point that, like I said, if you're not taught this, it's easy for you to fall into the gap like everybody else. It's easy. If I'm not taught on what's going on, Breeze, if I'm not taught how to save my money and budget, that's like when I did my giveaway. I got a lot more stuff too. I think I'm gonna do it before the Soar family, and I'll probably bring some of this stuff to the Soar family because mainly this a lot of gardening stuff. I'm actually gonna give away a sprinkler system. You'll have to do it yourself. What's going on, Jig? Giving up a sprinkler system, and I know a lot of people that's in gardening gonna like this. Um, what else? I have some stands. I have a ring. I have some microphones. For people that want to get it. So it's like literally, if they come to the Soil Family Meetup, it's gonna be no excuse on them trying to start up their channel and everything. And this is all being budget. I have a budget set aside that I put aside for things that I buy for my channel to give away and things that I've already had. I don't even know if I want to. I might. No, I don't think I'm gonna do that. I have a another interface. I think I'm just gonna get that one to my son. 'Cause this one has like the controls on there and stuff. I think I'm just gonna get that one to my son because my son is getting into gaming and things. So I'm probably just end up giving that to him. But overall, like I said, it's just having a budget for this stuff. A lot of people don't have a budget. A lot of people don't, you know, have a budget to how much food they should eat every day at work. A lot of people don't have an understanding to, hey, sometime, man, I might need to bring my food instead of ordering all the time. I understand you might want something fresh. I understand you don't want to be in the break room with people like that. You want to get out, go eat in your car. One of my coworkers was telling me about this. I'm thinking about getting this plate that goes in my truck to where I can bring my food from home and have a little hot plate to warm it up. And he said by the time you plug it in about 8 or 9 o'clock, it slowly generates heat to where it warms it up. Yeah, it's not like I don't know if it's like instant warm for him his plate. I don't know if it's an older model, but I was looking at someone that was pretty good, and I'm like, yeah, I could do that. Buy that, and that cuts down my bill again about eating out because majority of the times me driving trucks, I be in and out. I like getting a burger or something, but man, I haven't ate so much fast food recently. Like it's crazy for the most part. I mostly just buy Mexican food or subs. A lot of fresh stuff. The burgers and stuff. Don't really want to go to too many fast food places. They've been getting too much bad reviews. And then even going to restaurants, I kind of eat shrimp, not too much steak and beef all the time because that takes a toll. I do a lot of veggie subs. And see, that's the thing. Save my money, trying to do what's right. Because what was it? February, I actually cut my spending down by not like doing a bare minimum. If I go and eat something, just go and eat one meal, not two meals at work. Normally I eat breakfast, then I eat lunch, and I come home and eat dinner. I cut myself down to just skipping breakfast and only eating lunch around 12, 1 o'clock. and then have a snack or something, have my cases of water versus buying all that water one at a time. And I go in the store, spend about $60, get water, snacks, chips, juice, all that at one time, and it lasts me 2 weeks versus me buying every single day. Because like I told people that probably on the channel, I went to the corner store one time. I bought two Powerades. What's going on, Lisa J? I bought two Powerades, I think water, juice, a pack of Skittles, and a candy bar and some peanuts or something. I spent $17. I was like, $17 for this little stuff. You know what I could have bought it at the grocery store? Like a case of water costs $5. Start there. Could have got a case of water versus one or two waters I bought. I could have got those 8 packs of Powerade for like $9. 9 and 5, 14. I'm still good. $14. And the last three bought like a pack of peanuts or something like that. And I could have been eating on that for the next couple of days, not only just in that one sitting while I'm drinking that water. So that's why I say it comes to budgeting, like learning, like, hey man, I gotta stop spending this money. I gotta know how to cut money anyway, some way, somehow. Even with the budget and our bills, I told my wife, I was like, the gas bill was just too crazy last month. The colder it gets, I'm like, the gas bill is crazy. Like at night, just running that thing on all night. Nope. I set it down. I set it down to 72. People normally say they have theirs at 68, but I'm like, man, I'm not doing 68 cold. And yeah, space heaters. Nobody's walking around the house at night, so I have a thermostat. I have a smart thermostat I installed it myself, thanks to YouTube. um, End up putting that in, and I set time limits on my thermostat. To where it heats up. Um, Sit there and have it at a certain time at night. It cuts off, and nobody's walking around, so we're good. You know, Kids go to bed early. Me and my wife just in the room and got the space heaters in both our rooms. So, well, all of our rooms for the boys. So there's no need for me running the whole house, heating up the whole house. Like my gas bill, it went from only 50 some dollars a month to like 180. And I'm like, nah, man. But then when I talked to my friend, his gas bill so expensive. I'm like, man, I couldn't even live in your house. Like light bill alone, $700. I was like, if I had a $700 light bill, dog, and it ain't Christmas, and like even Christmas, I'm not having a $700 light bill. Like, what's going on? Like this dude's like, yeah, man, light bill 750 this month. Like what? And it goes back to like I said, learning how to budget, and hey, telling the kids, hey, cut the lights off. I was always, when you get older, you're gonna be paying bills. I threaten my kids with that. They ain't paying no bills. Hey, it happens. And then, like I said, knowing the outcome where you like, man, this bill is so high, I gotta do something else. Because this bill is getting outrageous. And if you literally got nobody kind of helping you, guiding you, man, you just, hey, you out there in the wolves. You paying it. Next month, you having a situation to say, hey, what is my next outcome? Like, I can't keep doing this. What is my overall, like, man, how I'ma live? Woo! Oh man, bruh, bruh. Hey, the cost of living is so expensive nowadays, man. And even with the jobs, that's why a lot of people are taking on Uber in and doing these gig jobs because they make you that extra money that you need. You know, that's like when I did the screen on the gig apps. I've listed like 24 apps that you can use. Like, not only are you using like ride shares, you're doing like food deliveries. A lot of those dealing with fiber and apps that you can, if you specialize in certain things, you can do a lot of this stuff via on the apps to be creators, make beats, and do things for people. Generally speaking, hey, going into it, it just, if you're good at something, you can make money off of it part time. And it gets to a point to where, hey man, you need to start looking at other ways of making money. Like I say, if you learn the process, you can implement that same process and teach it to other people. Learn the process, you can implement the process to make other people's life better. Like this wholesaling, I'm looking into that. I have a family member that's in it, so I'm getting up under their wing to get some type of mentorship with it. And hey, that's the next step, of making money. And like I said, just taking the necessary steps to learn the process. I always talk about knowledge being power. A lot of times, man, it just, we at a disadvantage because of not learning the knowledge at a young age. You know, but there's no hindrance that we can't learn it now. Better ourselves now. And that overall is the biggest concern where I look at for my kids. I'm teaching my kids now. One of them, he's learning crypto. Other one's learning into stock market, and they're looking at flying drones. I told him, I was like, man, I know somebody that makes money going to car shows, flying drones at car shows. Get paid to do that. He has this I think it's called an FFA or FFL some license, to where he get paid to fly a drone at the car show, record the car show, give the information to the people that host the car show, and they pay him a hefty amount. Same thing with virtual tours and houses. Don't you know people that took advantage of just getting a regular 3D camera and 360 cameras were making tons of money doing home views for people. They knew how to edit the videos. They know how to, set it up for the website for the people, and they got paid on all ends. So when it come down, yeah, I'm back. Doggone call kick me out. Oh no, this phone. I think it's about time for me to get a new phone. Oh yeah, Miss T about to get ready to come on too. All those, finna get on Miss T and talk about this. I think I sent her the link. So basically, all the people that like bacon, y'all know I don't like bacon. So they had a thing to where people eating dog skin instead of pig skin for bacon. But I'm just gonna leave that there. Y'all be the judge of that. But like I said, man, look, learn, look, listen, learn. Look at the situation, listen to what's going on, and learn the outcome. It comes to a point in which a lot of people deal with situations only upon their knowledge and the things that they know. If I don't know anything, how can I better suit understanding and finishing up things without knowing it? You know. So it gets to a point to where having that knowledge, having an understanding what's going on, what you're doing, better suit you in life. I don't want to be the old guy There's still prime example like the comedian Corey Holcomb saying that he doesn't want to be the old guy that's still scratching off lottery tickets, hoping and wishing. You know, have a plan of action. You know, you should have something in your life. And to the point, like I said, you should be looking at life insurance. You should be looking at getting a trust or a will. Even if you don't get a trust, which is kind of expensive, at least go get a will, a cheap will. Um, Same thing with Aretha Franklin, her estates. She had two wills that she didn't get um, notarized, but she had them written out. One was up on her sofa, one was in, I believe, a safe or something in one of her back rooms, in which to the point where family had to fight over that, which probate got money off of that. And then you would think all these celebrities that pass, why none of them have wills or trusts? All this money that you have, it goes to the state if you don't have a beneficiary, or to the point after they break it down. Say like where Prince died, Prince didn't have no other, besides mother, father. Yeah, sorry about that. That call kicked me out. Young Riaz, what's going on with you in the building? About to get ready to end this though. Shout out to everybody that came through. Hey man, learn the knowledge now. And if it's too late for you, teach it to your kids. That's the main concept. Teach it to your nieces, nephews, somebody that can, gain this knowledge. If more older people would approach me when I was younger, when I was, doing more crazy things with money and being able to settle down and knowing how to, appeal with my finance, I probably would be a little more better off in life than I am now. But like I say, it's never too late. You know, I can teach this knowledge to my kids, and in return, my kids are taking this knowledge and they putting it towards the future, and making them to become rich. Spawn, what's going on with you, man? What's going on in the building? But at the end of the day, like I said, overall, learning things, passing it on to the next generation, whether it be your kids, nieces, and nephews. A lot of us, we taking the information at an older age and gatekeeping. And that's the thing. Each one teach one. You know, that's why I'm pouring all this information into my kids. I'm trying to give them the best outcome as possible. The best outcome as possible. And the way of me doing that is giving them the knowledge. And that's the point. A lot of people lose out because they don't have the knowledge. If you're not learning anything, you know, you can't process that on to the next generation. And when your kids learn better than you should be more excited for them because they're taking life to the next level. You know, a lot of times we stunt our growth because of not learning the knowledge. We should put our kids in a room with people that can teach them these things. If my son want to be a doctor, I'm gonna find someone in the medical field and let them know, hey, this is who you need to talk to. This need to be your overall teacher and your life lessons until you get to that point of becoming a doctor or pick another career. You know, don't be ashamed because you don't know things. You don't want your kids to not know things and pass down this knowledge. So with that being said, shout out to everybody in the building. Hey, life lessons, learn them. Look at the situation, listen to the outcome of people around and doing things, and learn how to avoid bad situations or learn how to put yourself in the best outcome. And with that being said, shout out to everybody coming in the building. Shout out to everybody on the replay. And once again, you know, you always hear this when I'm leaving. We here and we gone. Peace.